Mr Speaker. On the 20th of May this year, Mr Speaker, the Minister of Finance rose and the government delivered the most far-reaching, significant budget in the last 20 or so years, a budget that will impact on this country for many years ahead. And then, Mr Speaker, for a very slight moment in time, the nation paused. And there was a collective silence, Mr Speaker, and collective is one word that the Labor Party do understand. It's part of the socialist blight that affects their thinking. And for a collective moment, there was silence. And then, Mr Speaker, as the Leader of the Opposition began to speak, the nation collapsed into laughter. Because that leader, Mr Speaker, who incidentally didn't ask a question to the Prime Minister or the Minister of Finance on the budget until the 1st of June, today. And was it of a matter of fiscal substance? No, it was all about the cycleway. So, Mr Speaker, let's just reflect for a moment on what it is that the Leader of the Opposition and the Labor Party do not have confidence in. They claim not to have confidence in tax reform, the very cornerstone of this budget. The objective of the government with this budget and with the tax reform package is to encourage saving and productive investment. It is to ensure that the tax system finally rewards effort. It is to make sure that the tax system is fairer, and it is aimed to attract and retain skilled people. How can the Labor Party, Mr Speaker, how can the Labor Party not have confidence in a budget and in a government that has those objectives? So let's just have a look at the tax changes for a moment. Income's up to $14,000. Tax rate cut from 12.5% to 10.5%. How can the Labor Party not have confidence in that? Income between $14,001 and $48,000, down from 21% to 17.5%. How can it be, Mr Speaker, that 250,000 New Zealanders at or around about the average wage in the $40,000 to $48,000 bracket can have had, in the 18 months of this government, their income tax nearly halved? How, Mr Speaker, can the Labor Party not have confidence in that sort of decision by a government? Well, you know, Mr Speaker, I hope the list member Carol Beaumont takes her colleagues aside and has a word with them, because Ms Beaumont spends some time in the Glen Innes area of the Tamaki electorate that I have been elected to represent here, and she will be getting the message that she must convey to her colleagues. The people in those income brackets who used to vote Labor without even thinking about it are no longer interested, because they have worked out, the old Labor Party constituency, they have worked out that the Labor politicians of today have absolutely no interest in their welfare, have absolutely no interest in providing them with an opportunity to get ahead. No interest at all. And that is where the Labor Party, with its vote of no confidence in this budget, has failed its old support base. And the list member, Ms Beaumont, she knows that. She is being told that on the streets of the electorate that I represent in this House, and it is incumbent upon her to deliver that message to her caucus colleagues. We have a look at incomes between $48,001 and $70,000, cut from 33% to 30%. And incomes over $70,000, down down to 33%. Now, I can understand why the Labor Party does not have confidence in that move, because the House, Mr Speaker, just has to go back to 1999 and remember how quickly Trevor Mallard and his mates moved to raise the tax rate up to 39%. There was no justifiable fiscal or economic reason for that government to do that. It was sheer vindictive, punitive action against people who worked hard and made a success of their lives. That is all it was. And it's a tragedy, Mr Speaker, that we have to come all this way to a budget in 2010, 10 years later, before a government had the opportunity to redress this balance. And so, Mr Speaker, we come back to the basic question. What is it that the Labor Party does not have confidence in? It does not, it appears, have confidence in the ability and the commitment and the dedication of New Zealanders to make good choices for themselves with the money that is left in their hands. And let us never forget, Mr Speaker, that what taxation is all about is denying choice to the people who earn the money. And the more that the socialists take from the people, the less choice they leave them. And let's just for a moment, Mr Speaker, reflect on the impact that this budget will have on the home-owning ambitions of our young people. The home-owning ambitions of our young people, Mr Speaker. Banks decide on whether they will lend or not on the ability of the potential borrower to repay the loan and service the debt. That is how those decisions are made. So the more money that a government leaves in the pockets of a young couple, the more opportunity that couple has to go to their bank, to raise a mortgage and to purchase a house. And it begs another question, Mr Speaker. Why does the Labor Party not want young New Zealanders to have the ability to own their own homes? And of course the answer is simple, Mr Speaker. The answer is very, very simple. The Labor Party depends on keeping people down, denying them choice, denying them opportunity, denying them the chance to get ahead. And so, if we could just for a moment, Mr Speaker, move to health. Major, significant increases in health spending. Now, the member who called me, I think, Grandpa before, will understand that I'm having trouble reading my notes here because the old eyesight's not what it used to be. But what I can see from what I have in front of me is a very significant increase in health spending. And I would just like to take one example of that, one very personal to me. It is now easier, quicker to get treatment for cancer than it has ever been in New Zealand. And that is because of the work of this government, this Minister of Finance, this Minister of Health, putting resources where the people really need them. The same applies to education. Another significant increase in expenditure. And the great thing that came out of this budget, unlike Labor budgets, was that increase does not go to building a huge bureaucracy. It actually is going into things like an increase in the operational grants to schools. And I suggest that the Labor members opposite, before they finally put their name to the vote, and before they finally decide that they are going to vote to have no confidence in this government, no confidence in this budget, they go and talk to a few of the boards of trustees and the principals in their electorate, because they will get the message. The increase The increase of the